What's up guys, this is Ray, welcome to Asian Filmist, and today we'll be talking about the South Korean movie from 2007, Le Grand Chef, originally directed by Jeon Yun-Su. Le Grand Chef stars Kim Kang-Woo, and it's about, well, you guessed it, chefs. It takes the story of Le Grand Chef. Basically, we flash back a little bit to the Chosun period, where the last king of the Chosun period passes away, and he has a royal chef who is loyal to only him. And so when the Japanese take over, the royal chef states that he's only loyal to the king who passed away. So he has no reason to cook any further. The Japanese demand his services, and in protest, he takes a knife and cuts off his hand. So this knife is kind of a symbol of pride for Korea, but this knife is taken by the Japanese back to Japan. But decades later, this knife is being returned home by the son of the bureaucrat who originally took it. And to kind of find its rightful heir, he holds a cooking contest between the greatest chefs in all of Korea. And so we have Sung-chan and Bong-ju, two rival chefs who both attended the same cooking school or restaurant or monastery. I don't think they were ever really clear about it. It felt more like a monastery because they were doing training in what felt like an isolated area. Anyways, these two decide to enter the competition to win the honor of taking home that knife. And so Sung-chan, who's the hero of the story, he actually had quit being a chef after an accident nearly took the lives of those who ate his cooking. He had made a dish of blowfish, which is a highly poisonous creature, and but he would have stayed away from this competition if his rival Bong-ju hadn't provoked him into joining. So when it comes to the positives of Le Grand Chef, there are quite a few. I mean, first of all, we got to start with the performances. I thought the performances by the two lead actors were quite enjoyable and entertaining. We have Sung-chan, the hero of the story, who's kind of, he looks like a quiet and soft-spoken person at first, but when you first meet him after he decides to quit being a chef, he comes off like this ladies' man. Well, not like a playboy of sorts, but he sells vegetables, which he farms himself. He sells it to housewives and older women, and the way he just spits his game and sells his vegetables to these old ladies, it's fun to watch. It's funny, but when he gets called back to action and he starts cooking seriously, things are gonna happen. And then you have Bong-ju, who's a bit of a sleazeball, and he's kind of a dirtbag who does anything and everything to obtain anything he seeks out to get. And he's also the type of sleazeball you just love to see get his comeuppance at the end. And of course, you get excellent shots of culinary creations getting placed in front of you. After all, this is a movie about chefs that battle each other. So you get to see these really fancy creations in this kind of Iron Chef environment. After all, it's a cooking contest. And it's funny, I think for me personally, these culinary creations look more like art as opposed to food that makes my appetite, that makes me hungry to eat them, but I can still appreciate these creations nonetheless. And I definitely enjoy the presentation of the cooking battles. The way it is presented on screen, it almost looks and feels like a comic. I mean, you have different sized frames going off at different times, and each features a different scene or different viewpoint of what's happening in the kitchen battles. It all makes sense because apparently this story was based on a comic book series. And maintaining a feel of a comic book, it's fast-paced and has a lot of energy. And it even comes complete with kind of mini challenges / story arcs in the story. It's almost like several episodes in one larger movie. And when it comes to the comedy in Le Grand Chef, there's a lot of comedy, and it's all very cartoonish. I think it might sound like a negative at first, but I think that's part of the charm. Like, for example, you have the two assistants of the two chefs who have known each other since their military days, but while they are rivals by all definitions, they also have this friendship that's still going on. And bad guy assistant, we'll just call him bad guy assistant, he's always hounding good guy assistant on the best way to make instant ramen, because back when they were younger, good guy assistant made a bowl of instant ramen for bad guy assistant, and he just can't forget that taste. And so while he's hounding good guy assistant for advice on how to make the perfect bowl of instant ramen, you see him just like sneaking away from the competition, trying to make instant ramen for himself. And it's funny because he's chowing down on one of the cheapest meals possible when he is capable of making a full-on gourmet experience. And also Bong-joon, he's extremely over the top when it comes to his antics. Anything from like, trying to like jumping the good guys' camp in order to steal their charcoal. I mean, there's more to it than what I just mentioned, but jumping them to steal their charcoal so that way he can use in the competition. He's extremely petty, and I think that's what makes him a fun sleazeball to watch. And on top of the cartoonish antics, there are plenty of scenes that are genuinely dramatic and tear-jerking and probably will make you shed some tears. So as far as the negatives are concerned with Le Grand Chef, I thought the relationship between Sung-chan and Jin-Soo, who is kind of the lead female in this story, was quite underdeveloped. The relationship was quite underdeveloped. I mean, like, you kind of get hints of something romantic that's about to blossom. You get the kind of chemistry at first, or that kind of hints or buildup, but it doesn't ever it doesn't ever flesh out. It doesn't ever complete. And even Jin-Soo herself, she gets introduced like as if she was going to be one of the main characters, the main centers of the story. But I think about partway through the movie, she kind of disappears, not into the background per se, but she disappears into Sung-chan's team of supporters and helpers. And she just kind of helps Sung-chan and team, stay alive, try to complete these quests, these challenges that the cooking contest consists of, stuff like that. But she never really stands out in the main spotlight as much as a hyper-up that she would be. And there are some tropes that are usually found in comics or manga that are perfectly fine in the context of a manga because you have a lot of episodes to do and just stories usually don't end. But in the context of a 2-hour movie, they kind of feel like cheating. I mean, without giving any kind of information away, there's a few characters in the story that appear to just be side characters at first, and because of dramatic effect, they suddenly get introduced that they're actually a character with major impact in the story that are really important to the overall story, but you don't get that information at first. It kind of like just gets brought out of left field. And I think that kind of stuff happens in comics all the time, in manga more specifically. And I think it's fine. It's a trope that's generally accepted. But in this movie, in this 2-hour movie where things need to build up to feel rightfully earned, it definitely felt like cheating. Like cheating in an effort to increase the stakes at the last moment and definitely increase the tension. But overall, what do I think about Le Grand Chef? It's fun and entertaining, and it's an easy movie to dive into. And it's just fun to watch seeing these cooks create all these different types of culinary creations, as I mentioned earlier. And you have this good guy bad guy battle, and you have the sleazeball who just does every single kind of underhanded techniques. But all of that is what makes this movie charming. And above all that, like I said, there are a lot of tearjerker moments, and one of them involves a cow. Oh man, that scene, it was heartbreaking, but I couldn't believe it was happening in front of my eyes. Please watch it so you can cry with me. But yes, those are my thoughts on Le Grand Chef. What did you guys think? What kind of questions did you guys have? Let me know in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. By all means, please support Asian Films on Patreon. It definitely helps the channel a lot. And hey, did you know I started a Discord server for those of us who want to come together and talk about Asian cinema? You can find a link to the Discord server in the description area below. And yeah, that's about it for me, guys. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you all again in the next video. Take it easy.